You're on mute, Tony.
Am I mute or am I back? Can you hear
You're
me?
back.
Can
You're
you hear
back.
me?
What a great
Yes,
start to
I'm
the
back.
show.
Yeah. See, people, big up to everyone who has joined us on this new show today. See, people, it is with great happiness and joy on the eve of New Year. Before we step into the new year, that I introduce, I have two shows, new shows today. Yeah. The first one is this one, and the second one, I'll let you guys know because that's coming up 8 o'clock. This new one is with a special guest we have here, and this is episode one. And see, people, yeah, we would be doing this show, for your viewership, and please just support us all the way down, to the end, people. People, yeah. See, I have one guy I do respect down here today, no other person than Dominic from the Arsenal Domination. And people, this is how we do it on my own channel, yeah. It's gonna be a po for our brother, yeah. That's the cannon shining, yeah. Po. Well, welcome Don to the channel, my people. Don, you're welcome to the channel, bro. Talk to this people. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, very well, Tony. Thank you ever so much for having me on. And what better way to finish 2025, right? Than with 3 points last night and a show with you today. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one, I'm sure. Good to see
Yeah,
you're keeping well. You're
definitely.
bringing lots of energy, I see.
Yeah, definitely. See, people, yeah. I mean, I want you guys to give Dom a very big reception on the channel, people, because me and him are going to be doing this show, yeah, but for a very long time. And I don't know if it's going to be 1 week on my channel or on his channel, but until we sort out the modalities of the show, then we can tell you how we're going to be doing it each week. But my intention is to do it maybe 2 weeks on my own home turf and 2 weeks on his own home turf. So when we arrange everything, we get to settle all that. People, big matchup yesterday, people, yeah. And of course, I have Dom to gloat about it today with me. Dom, what do you have to say about Arsenal massacring Aston Villa, the capital, yesterday? I mean, such a great thing to see. I mean, talk to us about that matchup, bro.
Yeah,
What do you have to say?
coming into it, right, there's a lot of talk about a three-way title race. And you can't
Mm,
not count Villa at this point when you look at how close the league table is. But a bit like Chelsea a few weeks ago, I just didn't feel Villa's was sustainable. They're on an 11-game winning streak, 18 out of 20 points from losing positions. They're really impressive. But Unai Emery has this reputation. He's done it many times before at many clubs. And, he's a very good manager. I'm not dissing him in any way, shape or form. But I just didn't feel Villa had the depth or the experience, and that they were just on a really good run of form that catapulted them up the table. But despite the fact they were missing a few players, and we were too, this was always going to be a tricky one. I think Villa are one of those sides, a bit like Brighton, where Arsenal struggle. The stylistic
yeah,
matchup isn't necessarily in our favour, and every side has that across the course of season. A couple of seasons ago, Manchester City was struggling with Wolves. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but sometimes do just struggle against others, and this is one of them. And obviously, the form they were in, you've got to be, you're not expecting massive things. You want the win. It's Arsenal, you expect the win, but you can't be 100% confident of it as you would be if you were playing, a lesser side because of their ability. But Arsenal, equally, I've just felt over the last few weeks, have been building since that Wolves game towards a good win, a big
yeah,
performance. We didn't see it in the first half. I thought the first half was even. It looked like Villa, because they're more exciting in many ways, looked the better side, but I thought it was fairly even. Second half, it just exploded. And it's a huge win. I call it a statement win because I don't think it decides anything in the title race, but it's a statement of intent from Arsenal, and one they probably needed with all the negativity coming their way in recent weeks, some of which I think is a bit overblown, but some of it I think fair and deserved. So this was really important for Mikel Arteta and those players out there and the fans, just to calm some nerves. So I think that's my overall
yeah.
reflection. I don't know what your views were. I mean, it was a great result, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, see, people. I mean, Dom has already said everything. I mean, he's sticking all the words out my mouth. I mean, if you needed a big game, yeah, to just, I mean, quiet the stomach ruminants, yesterday was a recipe, to actually serve to the Arsenal fan base and tell them, you know what, yeah, you have two decisions, you have two choices to make. Do you want to believe in the team? Yeah. Or do you not want to believe in the team? And you know what? Yeah. I know where my purse is actually going to, and it's in believing in the team. Not because of the manager, but just because of displays like that. Individual players coming out of this team to actually build the Arsenal after that dreadful first half. I just don't know. I mean, there has to be something, yeah, a manager has to say, yeah, at the end of the first half, yeah, when it's 0-0 against a big team like Aston Villa, who are definitely title contenders. I mean, if we put them into that framework right now, yeah, you coming back in the second half, and from the get-go in the 47th minute, you're already getting a goal. There has to be something positive, magical that actually happened on the booth down there in the dressing room for Arteta to just spark something different in this team. And this is what I've been talking about. When the leaders show up to the plate, this is what you get. We leave destruction in its wake. And see, people, yeah, many people were asking about questions about why Arteta risked Gabriel Magalhaes coming onto the pitch in that game against Brighton. Well, that is the reason. Because of the leadership qualities he's got, both up front and both in defensive duties. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about about that injury right now. If it's something that, that will set him back just a little bit. But again,
when he came off, you mean, Tony?
What a header against Martinez, bro. I mean, that pressure, all that push to score that goal, you just have to give it to him. And it opened up from there.
Yeah.
You want to come in?
I was going to say, you mean when he went
off? I was talking about when he came off. Yeah,
yeah.
Definitely. There's a big worry in that, isn't it?
Arsenal and Gabriel both confirmed it was cramp. He was just getting a bit tired, and I'm not surprised by that. He's been out for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is. Big intensity game like that. Like Arsenal confirmed it's precaution. He said after the game, he did the interviews after the game, which is always a good sign. If a player's doing the interviews after the game, that they're not hurt, there's nothing there. So I don't think we need to worry about that one. But what he will need doing is managing carefully.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a bit like I think Arteta, has managed Gabriel Jesus' return quite well. He's been out for so long. I expect to see similar with Havertz. I think, Gabriel is another big one. It's one of those ones where, we'll do Bournemouth later. But if there's any doubts about Gabriel, don't worry about Bournemouth. Like, sit him out that one. Miles can come in at left back and Hincapié can move back inside again. Because I think you see what he brings, Gabriel. I think you're absolutely right to highlight him. I think a big part of where our problems have lain, I mean, I don't think they've been overblown, to be clear, but a big part of what we've lost in the last few weeks has been him at the back, because him and Saliba, their ability to bring it out from the front, out from the back, and lead from the back and solidify that defense gives Arsenal confidence to go and try things a little bit further up, because they know those two and Timber and Calafiori this season are behind them. And he brings sort of consistency to that back line. He's really, really important to it. And I think that's where we conceded a few more goals recently. We're never going to keep the 8 clean sheets in a row or whatever it was. That was never
definitely.
You know what I mean? You've got that. Then allows us to go forward with more confidence as well. Even though he doesn't necessarily contribute to that forward beyond in the penalty area from set pieces, it's a confidence he's behind you, but that gives the forward players to not have to worry about losing the ball.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? Yeah, shout out to everyone who is popping in to the channel. I saw like about 20 people popping into the channel. Big up to Red RD. Big up to Miss Melina. Just True Unit. That's my girl. That's my brother. Will be having a show this week. See people, smash up the like button. Of course, Waffle Don was down here. Big up to Waffle Don. Those are my peoples. Big up to everyone. And people, this guy called Drew Gunners. I mean, you guys could see the great thumbnail he made for this show, people. Big ups to Drew Gunners. Thank you for all you do for this channel. God bless you, my bro, and I wish you a happy new year upcoming. You just made mention of something, and that's Gabriel coming back into the back line. When we saw Hincapié and when we saw Jurgen Timber come as they had the centre-back partnership, you always sense that there was a bit of a jittery kind of movement. There was kind of like this impatience about them building from the back. But right now, and it definitely affected Arsenal, because were a team that actually really viewed from the back. And we need lots of patience, lots of composure, if you want to put it in like terms. And that wasn't really what we were getting in other games. Would you say Gabriel Magalhaes coming back into this game, coming back into that Arsenal fold, coming back into centre back? Do you think right now that there's a big difference in how Arsenal plays when he's down there? That composure is there, that patience is there, so they can now build from the back in a more mature, in a more effective manner that gives us an advantage mostly when attacking.
100%, as I was saying just now. I think you made the point earlier, he's a natural leader, right? I don't think you need to give him the armband. You're going to get that, and you want that. You want 2 or 3 players that can do that. And he's, if the more you have, the better. And he is one of them. And that sort of assurance he gives, as I say, I think is so key. I think it allows Saliba to take more risks on the ball. It allows Calafiori on the other side, or Miles Lewis-Skelly, or Hincapie, whoever's at left back, that license to go forward, because he covers that space so well. We sort of talk a lot of, look, Zinchenko wasn't the best defender, but I also think that he got a little bit of unfair stick in many ways because, and this applies to Miles Lewis-Skelly, Calafiori, etc., the way Arsenal play, that left back will get quite a long way forward quite often, and it will leave the gap. The biggest gap we have is in transition down that left side between Gabriel and the touchline, because of where we move on
the touchline. Yeah,
and it doesn't matter who plays there. That's what Gabriel has become so adept at doing, is covering and seeing that danger. And it's that experiencing in terms of his age and how long he's been playing the position. It's his experience of playing and how long he's played in this Mikel Arteta system, and just his obvious quality, I think, just allowed Arsenal then to take that risk that little bit further forward. And now, last night, second half particularly, Arsenal have played a lot more through balls than people give them credit for this season into dangerous areas. But you saw Martin Odegaard taking more risks on the ball, partly because I think his confidence is coming back, but also because he knows he's got Gabriel behind him. And Odegaard, I still think there's going to be elements where he can play it quicker, but it's definitely quicker than it was 2-3 weeks ago. And again, I just think that assurance he has behind that Gabriel and Saliba, to give them both credit, because I think they're a unit, offers is there. But I think you take one out, there is that natural chemistry. I think with defenders, it's really important they have that chemistry between them. They know where each other are. They know where the space are at whatever level you want to talk about, in the game. It is a crucial partnership. And when, we've seen other great defensive partnerships, individually, you can put them with someone else and they're still very, very good defenders, but they're not on the quite same level as when they are not with their true defensive partner. And that's why Gabriel, I think, coming out has done that. It hasn't helped that we've had to change Saliba's centre-half partner, or even Saliba has been out. That changed so many times during that period, which made it worse. But you need both for me. And I think that's where he just offers that, that assurance and that confidence to others.
Assurance. Yeah, definitely. And again, Dom, I mean, you made mention of Odegaard. I mean, this is where you need your captain, to actually step up the plate when you have a big game and the capital on the carpet at the Emirates Stadium. The big crowds and the lights are shining, and you do need a big performance. And then your captain, who's meant to be the one to lead, who's meant to be the one to, in this case, to find a way, to find that parts, to pick that parts, to press up the pitch, to do all these other things, to shout out back out orders here and there. And suddenly he shows up, Martin Odegaard. I mean, you just need to see how he was really pressing up a course on this Aston Villa players, forcing them to make mistakes in the middle of the park. He grabbed the ball from the middle and he just set Zubimendi on his way. What a pass to actually open up the Aston Villa defense. I mean, you seeing it, you can see this telepathic kind of connection. I mean, people, I don't want to hear anything, but if you're getting the ball and you're moving the ball more quicker, and you have the vision, the foresight to actually just pierce open that Aston Villa defense the way Odegaard did, and then the seamless way and the seamless connection that Zubimendi understood where the ball was going to, right from that moment when Odegaard picked up that ball from the middle of the park. Zubimendi kind of like seamlessly understood what Odegaard was going to do. Odegaard made his way down just almost near the 18-yard box, tap, boom, opened up the box, and that was it. Zubimendi up there alone with Martinez one-on-one, and he just places it down there to the near post. Is Odegaard back, Dom?
I hope so. By the way, I actually thought Konsa got a lot of stick over that with his defending for that goal. I actually thought he defended it quite well. He blocked the obvious space to go to. You know, I think he could have maybe got a bit quicker to Odegaard, but I think the speed and intensity with which Odegaard ran at him, I think probably sort of took Villa by surprise. And then it's just a lovely ball to take Konsa out the game. But yeah, I hope so. Look, Odegaard had a very tricky season last season. I think he was rushed back because of the injury situation. That ankle was never right, and I think there was a lot going on. Look, there are all reasons behind it, but ultimately he has to take responsibility for his performances last season as well, right? And he wasn't anywhere near good enough last season. Forget whether he's a captain or not. You know, every player will have downturns in form, whether you're captain or not.
Downtimes, yeah.
You know, but that went on for a very long time, and he just couldn't get right. You know, and even in the Champions League, you know, he didn't sort of it's where Arsenal put all their eggs, let's be honest. You know, in those last 10 or so games of a season, it was all on the Champions League. He didn't lift the team as you sort of like to see it. This season, I thought there was starting to see glimpses, and then he got the shoulder injury, then the shoulder injury, then the knee injury.
Then the knee injury, yeah, exactly.
You know, all of them contact injuries as well, which is really unfortunate for him on a personal level. But this is the first time he's really started to get a run of games, and we're starting to see it, even against Everton, he might, you know, we're seeing those touches much quicker, much neater. I'd like to see him get a bit further forward, as we sort of saw before he picked up the first shoulder injury. I think we can get higher up the pitch. Yesterday, I understood slightly more. You're missing Declan Rice as running there. You know, you can and Villa with the threat they are offer that you might want to be 5 yards deeper. But I think there is fairness in the fact that he is too deep. He needs to get further forward. He can still rotate with Zubimendi. We saw Zubimendi essentially move into that number 9 role, really, for the goal. You know, Declan Rice can
really.
No issue with rotating. I like that. You can have the rotation there, but one of them needs to be further forward, and he's the obvious one there. But we're seeing those touches. We're seeing the quick, clever movements, quick, clever part, but knit it together. He might not get the assist. He might not get the goal, but, you know, a bit like Gyökeres, you know, for the first goal to win the corner, you know, there's no goal or assist for that, but that all came from him, his movement, etc. And, you know, we're seeing it with Odegaard, except his is more clever little touches and stuff. That I don't care if he ends the season with 5 assists, if he's got 10, 15 of those significant goal involvements, which he won't get a stat for. But, you know, there is an eye test and a stat test. And I think we're starting to see the eye test come back, but it's been till 3 games. We need to see that consistently now, but I think the signs are that he's there. And look, I've always said you don't become a bad player overnight. It was a very long period of time he wasn't at his best for far too long, by his own admission.
Far too long.
But hopefully we're seeing him back now.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, definitely, Clara watched that matchup and she says that pass was top class. I mean, I mean, sometimes we always have this a conflation of duties here. Odegaard is the captain, but as well as also our creative spark in that team. When you see that kind of pass he gave to Martin Zubimendi, I mean, you just have to look at the game and say, you know what, Odegaard, that's your job.
Very Roy Keane of you.
Exactly.
But no, it is his job. It is his job, you know. And as I say, it doesn't matter whether he gets the assist or not. You know, sometimes you can be responsible for a goal with some clever movement and not actually touch the ball, take your player away, or you get the pass before, you know, or you do a step over, etc., etc. That's what we need to see more from. And we started to see that. I think, you know, his chance creation this year, I think he's still our top chance creator this season, despite the fact he's missed several games through injury. I can't remember the exact top to stat on it, but it might be passed into the final third that he's top 4. But, you know, we're starting to see that sort of come back. It was really interesting. I really should remember which one of the 2 it was, but that kind of shows that was missing last season, but it's starting to come back this season.
Yeah, definitely. And see, of course, Dom, this thing has been something that has really, really been worrying me. And of course, that's the injury to Declan Rice and its effect on the dynamics on the framework of Arsenal. But look at this scheme. Declan Rice wasn't in that team. You need your best and best of players to be in the title running with you. But in very, very exceptional cases, we can understand when you want to give them a rest. or maybe when they're injured. In this case, Declan Rice was injured for this game. Now, our worry as Arsenal fans was, hey, who's that plug in the middle of the park who's going to, carry? Because Declan Rice is he now has that reputation of being that ball carrier in the middle of the park, someone with lots of maybe not lightning speed, but someone who can inject that little amount of pace into carrying the ball, and this legitimately confuses lots of opposition, mostly in the middle of the park, because when he's bumping forward, it's quite, he runs quite dangerously with the ball, and he knows what to do with the ball. So when he was not in that team sheet for this game, yeah, you would just say in your mind, "Oh my God, maybe Arsenal might lose this one." And when you're playing Aston Villa, that play in a kind of way that they kind of like choke that midfield, you do need your ball carriers to be down there. Now, throw that aside. Without Declan Rice, Arsenal was able to churn out this kind of devastating win on Aston Villa, fellow title rivals. Yeah, going on forward, Dom, do you think that Arsenal's over reliance on the importance of Declan Rice in this team, do you think it's overblown really? Because when you're looking at Aston Villa and the way we actually malhandled them, I've never seen Arsenal throughout the season have this kind of second half. We passed the ball quicker. We created more chances. Our attack was more sharper. When Nordgaard came down to the middle of the park, he actually sealed that place. It was a little bit okay. Yeah, you could blame David Raya for being nutmegged for that one goal, but our midfield still seemed okay, and we produced lots of chances, by the way, of which Rice always tries to help us to create those chances either way. Do you think it's important? It's kind of overblown in this team, seeing Arsenal dismantle Aston Villa in that devastating manner.
I mean, I think Declan Rice is undeniably a key player. If you wanted to look at the 5 undroppables in this side, you're looking at Saka. You're probably looking at the midfield. Well, maybe not even Saka, because I think while he's levels above Madueke, he's there. But you look and you go Odegaard, Zubimendi and Rice are probably the three, because the next level down is Eza, who I like but doesn't press like Odegaard does, which I think is a very key part of transition and turnover for us to get the ball high up the pitch. I think he can do things with the ball that Odegaard can't do. He's a very different player, but I think that press is important. I think Rice and Zubimendi, because then you're going to Moreno and Norgard, who I think are good squad players. I think they're perfectly fine, but there's a drop off, and then I think you're probably looking and you're going, it's probably the two centre halves, because that's the core of your team, right? That's the middle of your team. If I had to say only 5 of your, you have only 5 of your starting 11, and I don't like the idea of a starting 11. I don't think we're at that point with Arsenal anymore, because I think we've got so many options, depending on the opposition, etc. But if you took you think as your starting 11 and said you can only pick 5 of them, they would probably be the 5 that you're picking. So I think from that point of view, he is very important. And every single team, regardless of who they are, even peak Barcelona, the Manchester United treble winning side, the invincible side. I mean, I'm going back a little bit there, really, when squads were really sort of 14, 15 players and a few others. Now you're sort of at 18 to 20 players because the world's moved on a bit. But, everyone is reliant on them. Manchester City still don't look quite right without Rodri, for instance. I think they've got used to it because he's been out for so long, but it's still not quite the same. So he's definitely one of those. But I think that, and I don't think we can say on the basis of one game that we don't rely on Declan Rice. But what it does show is you can win games without him. And I think you can win big games without him. But I think I wasn't too concerned about Rice individually missing yesterday's game. I got really
you should be the only Arsenal fan then.
well, the reason I say that, and to be clear, obviously I'd rather Declan Rice played, right? But I got really irked beforehand with the negativity around, we're going to lose a game because Declan Rice isn't playing. It's like, we've got a lot of really other good players. That's why I got irked with it. But also, I felt Gabriel coming back and being available was huge. Had both of them been missing, I would have been really concerned, because Villa are a good, strong, fast in transition, technical team. And I think what we did see yesterday was Arsenal.
And physical side, though. Yes, very physical side, too.
And
Yeah.
I do think that without Rice yesterday, we still missed his physicality in that midfield. I think without him, Villa's midfield was stronger than us. And you
Mm,
saw that. You saw our midfield get bypassed a little bit easily. You know, a lot of criticism came from Moreno yesterday. And by the way, I think we should have subbed him 10 minutes earlier because he was lucky not to get sent off. But I didn't think Moreno was horrific by any means. It wasn't his best performance, no question. But
yeah.
you're comparing him to Declan Rice, there is a big drop off, you know, between him and
Yeah.
Moreno, no question. That
No
talks to how
question.
good Rice is rather than how poor Moreno is in many ways. But
Yeah.
also, Villa's
Yeah.
midfield is that strong, but that was always a weak link there, and they were going to play through there and they're going to target that area. Just like we actually attacked down the left much more yesterday and went after their right back because it wasn't Matty Cash.
Mm,
And Trossard's obviously in good form, you know, so you expect to
mm,
see that. But what I think it does do is give you a lot of confidence that goes, do you know what? If there's any doubt about him against Bournemouth, don't play him. You don't need
mm.
to. You saw that. But
You
you've also
don't
got
need to. Yeah. You don't need to risk him, innit? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You don't need
because there
to
is that
risk him.
confidence there. Last season, arguably, or certainly the season before that, you know, you couldn't go without Saliba or Saka. So there's a lot of point about how he had overplayed them over several years. Well, the squad wasn't good enough to do that. You want to get where you want to, you're going to have to play your best players. And the best players, by the way, still play in every team. Haaland's played nearly every minute for Manchester City this season. Mbappe is
Mm,
way past, you know, he's just got injured, but he's several hundred minutes more minutes played this season than Rice, for instance. You know, the best players play because they want to play, they expect to play. But, you know, it does mean you can make 2 or 3 changes for those. And it can be one of those undroppables that can get a rest there. You know, and for
yeah.
me, Moreno or Eza or Norgard come in, and I would have started Norgard, by the way, yesterday over Moreno. I was saying it before kickoff. That's the one I would have done. I
Mm,
felt it was more of a Norgard game. You either had to go
yeah.
Norgard as 2 sixes, or you had to go Eza for 2 10s. And I just felt Norgard because of Villa on transition was the concern. So I would have gone
Yeah.
Norgard, but I can see the argument for Eza. I wouldn't have gone Moreno yesterday. I thought that was the one selection that was like, that's the wrong one. I knew it would be him, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't have gone him. And that's not a reflection on him. I just think because of the way the game was, it wasn't his game. But he can carry the
Yeah.
ball. He's clumsy. He's not brilliant to look at, Moreno, but he's perfectly competent. And you know, he is an area you'd
Yeah.
look to upgrade in the summer if you can.
In the summer, innit? Yeah.
But you know,
Like a
that's
Kobe
not
Mano. Like a Kobe
yeah.
Mano.
I still don't like his attitude, but you know, but actually he'd probably get more minutes in the, you know, well, he certainly get more minutes to get him Manchester United. But if he's getting enough minutes and he, you know, then maybe that sort of deals that. You know, I think there's an understanding if you come to Arsenal compared to Manchester United right now, you're getting less minutes because the side is much better.
Yeah.
You know, it's where we are. If you go back, you know, 15 years, well, then you're going to get more minutes at Arsenal than Manchester United because we weren't better than them, you know. But you get the
Yeah.
idea, right? But I
Yeah.
think
I
the
get
point
it.
here is Rice is still, you know, a integral cog in this time, but you can win games without him, and that showed it. And you can win big games without him, but you'd obviously rather have him than not.
Yeah, definitely. But again, now, okay, now this is the thing now, yeah. So now we've won a big game, yeah, without him, yeah. Are you confident of the fact that Arsenal can go away from home? This is different because this is a home game. That whatever we could still use the 12th man to still shoehorn those physical patterns of the games that we have to win with our 12th man. But we're going away from the carpet this weekend against Bournemouth. Do you think that we can actually go away from home without Declan Rice and actually prevail at Bournemouth?
I think so. I mean, Bournemouth aren't on the best of form themselves. Maybe
Mm,
Semenyo was saying goodbye in his last game. He certainly looked like he was saying goodbye to the crowd, but we don't know.
yeah.
Maybe he'll be around on or to face us in the next game, which I can't remember when it is now. Which day
I
it is?
don't think so. I think he'll be out by then. I think he will be with Ghana
I
by then
think
or
so
something.
too. I mean, certainly
I
City are
think so.
pushing for it, but of course Bournemouth can go. Well, you're not having him today. You know, we're not going to do the paperwork on time. It's within their right. But again, Semenyo
Yeah.
might be pushing. You don't know. You know, I think he either way he's going to go soon, whether that's before or against us or against us. You know, we can't worry about that, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I think you got to be confident about beating Bournemouth without him, particularly as their defense. You know, and that's no, you know, Areola. You got to feel for him. He lost 4 of his starting back 5 last year, if you include the goalkeeper. You know, Hoyson, you know, Kepa,
Kepa.
Kirkes.
What's the guy's name in Liverpool?
Yeah,
Kerkez.
Kirkes. I always
He
forget the
lost
centre half.
Kerkez, of course.
Yeah, I forget the other centre half who I actually thought was as good as Hoyson last year. I always forget his name. But, you've got to be confident about getting at that back line there. You really have.
Mm,
And they're not so physical in midfield, and I think that, funny enough, is a game for Moreno because he can drive the ball. He does have the ability to drive the ball. He's not a six. For me, he's a box-to-box midfielder. He's more to him than just a six. So I think that is a game where you can make that. You can rest him in that game, and Arsenal should still be expected to win there. I mean, I know our away form got really criticised prior to going to Everton, where we got the win because I think it was 5 in a row we hadn't won in the league.
yeah.
Because we lost at Villa, drew at Chelsea, drew at Sunderland. It might have just been that. There might, but whatever it was, we were on a bit of a poor run. It can't have been 5 that we didn't win because we haven't lost
Mm,
too much. But you get the idea, right? You can
yeah.
understand the sort of how the narrative gets there, but I also look at it and go, I was never too concerned about that away form. I think it was just, if you'd had Everton in the middle of those ones, suddenly you haven't got 3 in a row that you haven't won. So I think we can go there and win that. And I think Bournemouth is a good one because of the way they are set, that you can go there and win it without Declan Rice. If you're going to that, of Newcastle a better side than Bournemouth, but I've used them as an example because they're a very physical midfield. Actually,
Yeah.
then you'd be more concerned. As I say, Newcastle got other threats, but Tottenham would be another good midfield to go and play against because actually,
Mm,
they are probably a better side than Bournemouth as well. But again, the type of midfield you're like, well, they don't really have that physical presence in there. That sort of ball
mm,
carrier that Rice could sort of combat. You don't, and Bournemouth, I don't think have that. Maybe I'm being disingenuous to them, but that's kind of my view. So I don't think you need to
yeah.
worry about them at all.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And of course, I completely agree with you, yeah, because Declan Rice, for some reason, yeah, and I just think is a part of that cluster, yeah, that I think are vulnerable right now in terms of the way we use them in the team. I think it's knackered. I'm looking at Declan Rice when he's playing. I mean, I looked at him clutch on his knee when he was playing against Brighton. It's very pretty much concerning. He made hand gestures to the bench to try and do something, but no one was having it. He played, we used him to the end. Look at a player like Julian Timber. I think players like this, Dom, they deserve a rest. They deserve some. I mean, they deserve sleeping time, bro. They've been playing almost all the whole matches, bro, since the start of the season, and there's an extent it would get to. You just have to say, I mean, enough is enough. Let's give them some rest, innit?
I mean, I think they have been rested. Again, I go back to the point that big players play most of your minutes. You're in terms of one that really concerns me right now, but Ben White coming back sooner than expected kind of helps a little bit with that. I
Yeah,
don't think he should be rushed back in. I think that's probably the injury of all the injuries we picked up this season. You look at and go, really? Like, actually, with hindsight, you've just played him 4 games in a row when he's been out for as long as he has. That's the one I don't think we've managed very well. That said, everyone was going, well, Ben White starts this one. No one thought about it, but actually Arsenal are paid to think about it.
yeah,
And that's the one for me. But I think Declan Rice he's missed League Cup minutes, for instance. I think he's got a real opportunity to not play him in the Champions League games. You might play Warner, Zubimendi or Rice because you don't want to necessarily make wholesale changes for it because you still want to keep momentum going. But, maybe Rice plays one and Zubimendi plays the other, for example. But for me, those minutes are there. We don't know what was said between the bench, whether it was just I've got a knock, but again, he got that physical knock in the game rather than a sort of muscular injury.
yeah,
Arsenal are quite clear that it was a kick to the knee and it's swollen, and that's why they didn't want to make the chance. But again, like let's not take the chance there. I think
yeah.
probably that means Gabriel has to play. As I was saying earlier, I think you want one of them playing if
Yeah.
Rice doesn't, but
If Rice
ideally.
doesn't, yeah, exactly,
But what
exactly.
we do need,
Yeah.
the one thing I would say, although actually Arsenal are still in the top 3 for earliest substitutions this season, bizarrely, although things like Saliba being substituted in the second minute at Anfield obviously help significantly with that. But you're probably looking somewhere in the middle of the pack for early substitutions from Arsenal this season. I do think there is a chance to substitute earlier, but equally, game state has meant we haven't been able to do that quite so much recently. And I think this is my big criticism right now of Arsenal. I've not been too concerned about the goals being conceded so much recently because
Okay.
I think that is the chopping and changing in the back line. It's not necessarily the quality; it's the chopping and changing that really does.
It's the chopping and changing. Yeah.
So I
It's
think
destabilizing, actually.
Yeah, I think that settles back down. The thing I have the issue with right now is Arsenal this season, and this is a very general take. It doesn't apply to every game. You can find an exception to this rule. Arsenal this season under Mikel Arteta is still a control team. They want control. It's not so pretty. It's more of a Jose Mourinho than a Jurgen Klopp sort of style, to put it very simply.
Yeah.
But we're looking to get that control early in the games, right? But we're looking to do it by dominating the ball, dominating territory, but not necessarily going for the jugular early. I think Arsenal need to go hell for leather, like we did at the start of that second half yesterday. Much quicker, much earlier in the game, because I could understand that when we had some of the injured players out in the attacking area, because you don't necessarily have those options, but you've got so many options to change that going forward. So run Saka hard for 65 minutes. Run, whoever you start on the left for 65. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't want you to stop, and then I'm going to get you off and I'm going to put two first players. And I'm being very simplistic here, but my point being, don't conserve energy for the last 10 minutes. We've got, to use Mikel Arteta's phrase, or which was first from the rugby union guy, I forget his name now, the Australian that managed the England rugby team. It'll come to me if I stop thinking about it. Finishers, right? You've got those finishers. Go early for games. You can still have control on the games. You can still keep the ball, but look to move it quicker. Go at them harder. Because actually, if you can get, and this is something Manchester City do very well, 2-3 goals up earlier, suddenly Declan Rice can come off in the 65th, not the 75th minute.
Exactly. It makes it more easy. It makes the job more easy.
Exactly. And that's, for me, is the big criticism I would have right now of where we are. And I just want to see
that. Where we are. I mean, Dom, well spoken, man. And again, see, when we're talking about Arsenal trying to dominate games more quicker, there's a difference between having ball possession and dominating games. You talked about dominating the territories, dominating the area, getting to score goals. And whatever terminology we use for that, you need to score the goals. Yeah, you need to eat your dinner. You need to score the goals, because the goals are the crowning of those efforts. Now, talking about crowning those efforts, with goals, Victor Gyökeres. People, please make sure you smash up the like button. Hinks is here. Hinks says here, he says, if Arsenal ain't getting the title, lads, Christ will definitely show up without them getting any trophy. Big up to Hinks.
If Arsenal don't win the season, then I think you have to say, Mikel, thanks for building us and getting us back to contenders, but we're going to try and get someone, to use your term, we're going to bring a finisher in, right? I am confident we will get one, but I think that has to be what Arsenal do. It's not necessarily what they will do, but I think it's what they should do. By the way, Seymour, enjoyed you on Josh's show last night. It was I was having a quiet little chuckle in my pillow when I saw your name.
And people, guess what? people, guess what? I also enjoyed that show too. And people, guess what? Yeah, I have my second show, 8 p.m. A new show, just like this one I just unveiled today, with me and my brother Dom. Me and my second friend, Dr. Seymour, the resident proctologist himself, will be down here on the Arsenal Sports Machine, a new show we have for you guys, and that'll be debuting today, people. 8 p.m. Me and Dr. Seymour, come watch that one. See ya. I know it's gonna be a cracking show, as this one is too. But I want to bring you in on this one, Victor Gyökeres. See, Dom, me, you, Rory, Josh, we nearly came to fisticuffs just the other day. It's like we were all carrying swords, ready to just, fight as if we're fighting for some chivalry kind of scenario. I don't know, but this is it. Gyökeres had at least two glaring chances yesterday to put the Arsenal up, up front. A very close cross from Nkapie, of course, Nkapie for finding himself in that position as our left back. Kudos to him. Send a very clean cross down to Gyökeres. Gyökeres just to fine tune how you're gonna do it. Just put your head into it. And he just fluffed his lines. He got another one from Saka. This time he just skied it away with his head. That one was more closer anyway, but at the end of the day, no goals. These were two clear-cut chances that Gyökeres had in that matchup, bro. No show. What do you think about Gyökeres' positioning in that matchup yesterday? What do you have to say about him yesterday as a whole in general? And of course, I would like you to also pitch him in comparison with Gabriel Jesus, who just came onto the game. Boom, what we're talking about. That boom, man has already gotten the ball, wrapped it around the player, wrapped it into the net post, bro, for a goal for the Arsenal. What are we talking? What are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here?
So I think firstly, let me make a quick general point about the attack. I mean, Arsenal in recent weeks have not been, to use your phrase, finishing their dinner, right? We've been creating a lot of chances and not putting them away. Right? It's as simple as that, right? And I always felt a big hammering was coming. I didn't expect it to be against Villa, by the way. I thought Villa were too good to take a hammering. I thought it would more likely, funny enough, be against Bournemouth or Portsmouth in the cup, although I expect us to heavily rotate for that one, rather than against Villa. I think with Victor Gyökeres, I think we have this expectation, understandably so, that every new player will hit the ground running. I think everybody, including Victor Gyökeres himself, expect him to do better since his arrival here. He has, without question, underperformed. I think anyone that thinks he's met expectations, it is, I'm sorry, I just cannot see how anything matches up to that. That said, I think he is a very different stylistic player. I was talking about the difference between Sesko and Gyökeres in the summer. I wasn't against Sesko, but I favoured Gyökeres because I felt he's more experienced and he offered something different to attack. We now have three strikers that can do three very different things. And I think actually what I'd like to see Arsenal use when all three are fit is them in very different ways, depending on the opposition.
Yeah.
I'm going to use Martinelli as the example. Against Spurs' and Postecoglou side, he was in terrible form before we played them early in the season last year. And, a lot of people saying he's got to be dropped on form. And you could see that. Look, that narrative made perfect sense based on how he's playing. But I was like, he is perfect for Spurs. And actually, certain games, Havertz is going to be perfect. Certain games, Gyökeres should be. I think right now, Gyökeres is really struggling with his confidence. I think he was just starting to find it, and Arsenal were just starting to get used to him because we are playing the ball into him. But right now, he also has to do more.
More.
He really does. His movement is very lethargic at times. His movement is very predictable at times. But I thought yesterday there was much more signs of him coming back towards what you would want to see to him. We started to see it before we got the injury against, it wasn't Club Brugge, I forget who we played, Olympiacos in the Champions League, then again against Burnley. Now, I know these aren't great sides, but actually the movement was there, and we saw it a few times yesterday. We saw him get across his defender for that first header, for instance. We haven't seen that enough. We've sort of seen him jog behind a defender towards the far post. No, leave that for Saka or leave that for Trossard. That's where they're going to be. Leave that for your number 8 crashing in, or Odegaard, who tends to sort of hang on the edge of the area for the ball coming back. But for them to come in, you want to be across your defender. And maybe you do that 3 times, a bit like cricket, 3 outswingers and then suddenly an in-swinger, and then run the other way to cause a bit. The movement's too predictable, but we saw less predictable movement yesterday, and I was encouraged by that. I actually thought he was really important for us winning the corner that led to the first goal. Some really good direct play there. So there were some signs there, but it needs to be consistent. But I think what he needs more than anything else right now is a goal from open play. I know we gave him the penalty the other day, and he smashed it home, got that, but he knows he can score penalties. Can I score from this? It just needs that. And I think if he does that, I could see him getting 2 or 3. Jesus, funny enough, right now is backing himself. He is fully enjoying life. He's fully confident. And I think we saw the difference. I don't think Gyökeres hits that Jesus chance. I think he lays that off
he doesn't have the confidence to do that.
That's the exact point I'm making.
He doesn't have the confidence to do that.
I don't know if you saw for Jesus' goal. I think it was Yuri and Timber, and it was it Saka or Madueke at that point. I think it was probably still Saka. Absolutely livid when he shoots.
When he shoots, yeah, exactly. You saw that
And
too,
literally,
right?
you could see them go, no, yeah,
Yeah, exactly,
you know,
bro.
but
Exactly.
Gyökeres hasn't got the confidence at this moment in time. He'd have laid that ball off. Jesus is like, no, I'm going to score, and he knew he was going to score, and that's the
And he
difference.
knew it.
I think Gyökeres needs a goal, and I think if he gets that, I think that makes a big difference. I think Gyökeres will get 10 plus goals in the second half of the season. I really do. If he doesn't, that's a real concern. But we've
But
seen in
again,
recent years with
he
Havertz
needs
and
to
Marine.
rediscover that confidence, though, because
Exactly.
you said something. See, Dom, he needs to get that confidence. Rightfully, the way you pointed this out, yeah, if it was Gyökeres that got that chance that Jesus had, he would have passed it off away because the confidence isn't really there, and he doesn't have the positional awareness to actually pop up in certain positions that would get him clean, neat in front of goal. Now, I'll take you back to that chance, yeah, that Martin Zubimendi got with Odegaard. I mean, you can see it clean, easy. Even before Odegaard made that movement, you already knew, oh, you know what? Yeah, I have to be above the defender. I have to start moving, running towards that defense. So he's going to split that pass to split the defense, cut them open, and guess who will be there? I'll be there. He already had that in his mind of his
Yeah.
positional awareness. Immediately, Odegaard got the ball. But
Yeah.
Gyökeres, I'm sorry, man. You're not getting into space. You're not drifting into space. Your positional awareness is still very, very sketchy. You're not confident as a player. I'm sorry, man. If you are a 65 million pound player, you should be making the kind of runs that Zubimendi is making to actually get a goal. You should be making the kind of runs that Trossard is making to find himself in space to get a goal.
Yeah. I mean, I
Check the
agree.
position of Trossard when he scored that goal.
And again, it
Did
comes
you
back to
know his
confidence.
position?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's,
it wasn't even at the wings. So it's
yeah.
not even a problem. It's not even a talk of, oh, it's coming from our outlet or it's coming from the wings. No, the Trossard wasn't on the wings. It was just a couple of yards out of the 18-yard box, and
Yeah.
it took a snapshot. I mean, find yourself in those positions.
And it's that confidence thing. It's that confidence of movement, that confidence in yourself. It's almost playing a little bit scared at the moment, right? Where almost doesn't want the ball. Jesus got more touches against Brighton, or I think it was, or almost as many touches against Brighton as Gyökeres did, and played hardly any time. He wanted the ball and he was looking for the ball, and Gyökeres almost not looking for the ball, and that's for me is a sure sign of lacking the confidence in yourself when you're doing that because you're not wanting the ball.
Yeah,
And I think that will, like I say, I think one goal I think changes the world for Gyökeres. I really do. But he does have to be better with that. And you're exactly right on this separation point. So, these stats are 3 weeks old, but he is the third most targeted forward. By forward, I mean, winger or striker.
yeah,
For
yeah,
in the league, only two are
yeah.
above
In the
him.
league, that's true. That's
So
true.
Arsenal, it's not Arsenal not trying to find him. I think they can try and find him a bit quicker, but he also is in the least amount of space out of any player when he receives the ball. Now, that's partly because of the way defenders play against us, which is the low block, drop in behind much
Yeah,
more. You're going to do that more against Arsenal than you are against Brentford. I'm
definitely.
picking on
Yeah,
Brentford, but no, but Igor Thiago is one of those players ahead of him in terms of being most targeted. Well, yes, and he's certainly significantly ahead of him in terms of space he gets. Well, you would because if you're Burnley, you're going to afford Brentford a little bit more space on the ball than you are
more
Arsenal because
space. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah.
some of it's that, but also some of it is that lack of movement or that lack of confidence in his movement. But I do think it will come. But he is under significant pressure now, and if he doesn't start scoring, well, Havertz will come back in. Gabriel Jesus will come back in. I would have actually started Jesus yesterday. I thought he was
Yeah,
perfect for it. We don't know quite how fit he is and how much of risk they're putting in him. And I've got to praise Arteta and for the way he has handled Jesus' return.
yeah,
Because it
yeah,
has been
yeah.
very gradual. It doesn't mean an injury won't happen again because he's had 3-4 serious injuries to that knee again. It's going to be a very weak knee, and the slightest thing can set it off. But actually, he hasn't overused him at all. So
At
maybe he
all.
doesn't come in and start. Maybe he doesn't start a game again for Arsenal. He comes off the bench.
It
But
comes
that's going
off
to
the
happen more.
bench.
but that's going to happen more and more because, if Gyökeres doesn't start scoring, well, these guys aren't going to be given a chance. But I do, as I say, I do think
Kai Havertz back to our match day squad.
He was. Wanyeri left out entirely. I think that was more of a PR signal boost as much as anything else, right? Is in we've got players coming back. That's a G up to the team, a G up to the crowd. Whether you like Havertz or not, it's another player coming back. Because I think probably they're the players that would have played 10, 15 minutes max anyway, right? So which one are you going to go for? But I think that's a positive for Arsenal. It's another option from the bench. I think if you're playing those sides where you need to pull them out a little bit more, Havertz naturally drops deeper, better than Gyökeres, whose build-up play was better yesterday, by the way. But he's much more natural at that, so it gives you an alternative striker. So I think it's really a positive thing for Arsenal. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea. I think Arsenal were right to go out and get a new striker in the summer. But I still think he plays an integral part for this. And, seeing him and Ben White yesterday must have been a massive boost. It's certainly
massive boost.
Particularly Ben White, actually, for me yesterday, seeing him back, you're like, oh, God. Because that's where the most injuries are for us at the moment. You're like, oh, good, we've got another defender back. This is positive.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Godfrey is down here. Miss Melina is down here. I'll read what Miss Melina said. Miss Melina, by the way, was on the watch along with me, and she was in the charts, and she was really pissed at Gyökeres and his positional awareness. And she said something. She says, Gyökeres is going to need time to adapt to the Prem, as I can't see Mikel changing the system. It's frustrating that he isn't getting to the crosses being made for him. What do you have to say, Don?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I was gutted to miss being on with you on Monday on Rory's channel. I was unavailable, and it would have been. I've never done a show with you. I would have enjoyed that, but I think that's largely right. I think there have been tweaks to the system, but they're tweaks. There's not going to be a wholesale change to the system, but also, I don't think you adapt your entire system for any player. Manchester City tweaked their system for Haaland, but they didn't wholesale change it. And I think that should be true of Gyökeres. I think that then, as a result, requires an adaptation for him, both to the league, but also the style of play and to the players. But we have, as I say, we've seen him being targeted, but his runs just need to be better. So I think Melina's absolutely right there. That those runs, it's so frustrating to watch him trot to the back post every time, like come across your player, even if you do it every other time, on average, something different. Because I play at a much lower level, but I'm 41 these days, so but my legs are still there. I absolutely love it if the player makes the same run every time. Absolute piece of cake. Like, happy days. I've got you. You can be more skillful than me. If I know where you're going every time, it's easy. It's easy. Even if that player's better than me, I'll still win the ball. It's easy. I'll still win the ball.
People, hear Dominic. Hear him. He said it's easy. People, easy.
But it is easy. What you don't what you don't want, though, in all seriousness, again, it's much lower level with the same content. You don't want a player going inside you, outside you. You don't know which way they're going to go. You don't want that uncertainty. If you've got certainty about where the striker's going or the forward's going, no problem. You can almost move to that position before they do.
I would actually like to see. I would like to see you play, brother. I would actually like to see you play.
He would absolutely cook me, right? But Sunday league for me. But
Sunday league, bro.
If I had Conce's ability, for instance, who's a decent Premier League defender, and he had Gyökeres going inside, outside, down the middle, that is a very different proposition to him. Well, he's gonna when the ball goes out there, he's gonna be on the back post every time.
Yeah.
As soon as the ball goes out there, I'm not worried. I'm almost moving to the back post before to
the back post. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a yard or two nearer the back post. Whereas if he's going inside, outside, I don't know, and I've got to hedge my bets. And at some point, you're gonna get it wrong, and that will then
get it wrong.
And it's just simple as that. And that's where he's got to be cleverer. Even if he gambles 5 times, 6 times a game at the back post, if he doesn't get it, well, whoever's coming at the back post, there's more space there for them to come in and get it. Look, it's easy to say, it's not so easy to do, but he's also a professional player, and he's got to be. But Mikel Arteta,
he's a professional. He's been paid lots of money.
Mikel Arteta, though,
he's been paid lots of money.
Yeah, indeed. Mikel Arteta does have to also say to him, like, I want you to make that run 5-6 times a game. I don't care if you don't get the ball. I want you to do that and cause that uncertainty.
Just make the run. Make the run.
give him permission almost to make the run, because he's almost at that low ebb now, confidence-wise, where he probably just needs telling, I'm not going to shout at you if you make
Yeah,
that run and it's the wrong one. Just
it's
start
the
doing
wrong
it.
one, people.
But it will be sometimes, or it takes the defender away and actually he doesn't touch the ball. Sometimes a
Mm.
striker making that run, they might not touch the ball, but it's freed up the space for someone coming in behind them and they get the
For
goal.
someone
But
else to
but, but,
actually
the,
exactly
but
just
the strikers made all
open
the
it up,
difference to the goal. Yeah, exactly. They've almost made the
open
goal
it
despite
up.
not touching it.
Yeah, exactly. Big up to Jordan Heyman, who's down here with us. Godfrey says something. I think Gyökeres ends the season on 12 goals. What do you think? Is that enough? I mean, when
League
you're
goals.
spending £65 million, yeah, on a bagsman coming from Portugal who's lit up Europe and who's lit up Portugal, and he's scoring 12 goals on a season that he's supposed to win the Premiership, is that desirable? I mean, we could have still had Kai Havertz, and he would have still given us 15 goals all season.
I mean, it depends. If you mean 12 goals in all competitions, then absolutely not. If you say 12 league goals, I think it depends on how many games he plays. Because I think he's going to split minutes with Havertz and Jesus much more in the second half. So, I think if you want your two or three number nines to be in around the 25 to 30 goals combined, probably, because Arsenal do spread theirs goals out much more than say Manchester City do, just because of the way they play. But I never expected Gyökeres to get anywhere near the numbers he got in Portugal. This is a much bigger league, a much more difficult league, and there was always going to be less goals scored. I mean, that was a
Yeah.
phenomenal record he had in Portugal. But 12 league goals. Yeah, I think I was probably thinking more like 15 league goals would be where he'd end up. It wouldn't be too far away, which, given how difficult the first half of the season for him, I think wouldn't be a bad return. 12 in all competitions, no, that's not good enough. But Kai Havertz was going to get 19 last season.
That's not good enough, right?
Well, again, Arsenal
Yeah,
spread the
I
goals
think
around.
so.
So I think 15 to 20 goals is probably what an Arsenal centre forward scores, because our wingers get more than most other teams' wingers. Not every
Get
team.
more of the yeah.
They
I
spread it out
completely
more.
agree with you. 15 Premiership goals. I think should be minimal what you should have in the Premiership. Yeah, and of course, because our wingers are going to be with be the ones to actually spread the goals among themselves, definitely, because we build up through our attack almost through our outlet. So definitely, yeah, but 12, I don't think it's good enough. Those numbers, Kai Havertz gives those numbers to us easy.
Well, he gives you more than that. He averages one goal every 2.1 games as number 9, Havertz.
I mean,
So
you can imagine, bro.
I think 12 goals, if you asked me in August, 12 goals, I'd have said that's 2 or 3 short of where I'd expect it to be. I think right now, given he's at 5, that's improving in the second half. But I'd still expect, and I think it will depend on his minutes. If he plays, 19 games left? If he starts 12, 13 of them, I'm probably expecting you to be at around the 15 mark. If he plays, say,
Exactly.
9, 10 of them, I think 12 is a realistic number. So it will depend on the numbers. But either way, he's under
It
where I'd
depends.
expect to be. But I'm not going to judge him entirely on one season, write him off after one season. And we have to then go, do you know what? He's underperformed in the first half, so he's not going to hit those numbers in all likelihood that we had maybe in August. You have to have a little bit of a recalibration here. But, he will certainly be very disappointed with his season come the end of the season if he's not at the 20 to 25 in all competitions.
Yeah, definitely. And people will also be wrapping up the show. Godfrey says here, I expect Arsenal to start going on that run where we blitz teams. So I think he'll get some goals here and there. Gyökeres doesn't finish matches now that we have Jesus and Kai back. I mean, he couldn't say any more better.
I agree. I agree. Funny enough, I was saying a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago that I actually thought Arsenal, it reminded me very much of a couple of years ago. Do you remember where we were sort of struggling for goals, and then suddenly we went and plastered, we smashed West Ham, we smashed Sheffield United, we got that big wins, all of a sudden we had 3 or 4 games where we scored ridiculous numbers of goals all of a sudden. And
Exactly, bro.
I'm not saying we're going to go to that level, but I just felt you were looking at the eye test and I was looking at the stats and go, it just screams of we're going to score some goals. But, we may well be seeing goals late in games as well, where the other team are far more tired. And it depends on which striker's on the pitch. If Gyökeres starts and comes off, you could see Kai and Jesus getting those goals. If, Kai Havertz or Jesus start and Gyökeres comes on, you could see him get, So I think really what you'd want to see is our number 9 getting 20 goals, 15 to 20 goals in the second half of this season between them.
Dom, yeah, this is the second to the last question, yeah. I just heard you talk about, substitutions, people coming on. You talked about Kai, Jesus. One name that hasn't come out of your mouth, pause, is Eze. Eze, 0 minutes yesterday. Dom, is it time to stage an intervention for Eze?
It's a weird one, isn't it, with Eze? Because he played so well against Spurs, where he got that hat trick, and he's kind of done nothing since. He did put in a disappointing performance against Villa, as in the first game, not the second game. That odd one where you played them twice in like 5 games. But I mean, we're going to see this at times this season. We sort of see it with Madueke as well. Because we have those attacking options now, some players are going to be left out of squad. Some players are not going to get minutes, and it's going to happen. I would really like to see Eze get minutes against. Exactly. Madueke is 20 minutes since Club Brugge, if that. You are going to see it. So I think if you're Eze, you're a little bit concerned. But he's just got to put it in training. He's got to take his opportunity on the pitch. And that's what you want the players to be in a position where they've got to perform on the pitch, or they don't play. Obviously, they will still get some minutes. But that's where this squad is now. And if you're not playing because you're not trained well enough, or you're not playing well enough when you have got the opportunity, Madueke, Wenger, that's going back a bit. Arteta was fuming with him yesterday, because, their chances came down the right-hand side, and Madueke, didn't take an opportunity yesterday, and Saka will start against Bournemouth. Madueke, there was your chance to go, actually, we can make 3 or 4 changes, and I should be one of them, because look what I've done in my 15 minutes on the pitch. But I do think Eze will get minutes in the second half of the season like he has in the first. He's also what I call a
no. Do you really think so? I mean, it's easy for you to say, because right now we're not seeing those signs either. Right now we're not seeing those signs.
Yeah, so he might not get them in the
league. Are you really sure with what you're saying? That in the second half of the season, Eze will get games?
I think so. I think, he'll start at Portsmouth. He certainly started the Champions League game. He plays well in those games, and suddenly he's back in contention for the team. But right now, well as he did against Spurs, he hasn't done it since. I don't think he's going to start too much in the 10, because I think Odegaard's importance to the team is high. And also, he's obviously, he's the captain, but he's also a big Arteta. All managers have favourites.
Right, yeah, exactly. And he's also getting good game now.
Yeah, he's playing very well. But I like Eze on the left. I think he's most similar to Trossard. There are games when we will want Martinelli because of if their right back is pushing really, really high, you want Martinelli to exploit the space there. But generally speaking, I like an Eze Trossard type player out on the left. And that's where I think the most natural change is for that. And I think he will get minutes, but when he does get them, and he'll get them in the Champions League, and he'll get them in the League Cup and the FA Cup, not necessarily the League Cup, win the semi-final. If he doesn't take them, then he won't get minutes. It's simple, but he will get an opportunity to show what he can do. And if he doesn't take it, he won't get the minutes. If he does, I think he'll find himself back in. But that is what we want all the players to be in a position where, actually, do you know what? Pressure's on you to perform, because if not, we've got this guy, and he's just as good as you. Whereas in the past, Saliba had 3 bad games. I always use this example, and Rob Holding comes in. He knows he's not losing his place. No offense to Rob Holding.
He knows. Exactly. See, people, big up to Spinaroon Jack. Big up to you. It's hello Tony and Dom. Big up to you, my bro. Please make sure you subscribe.
To pronounce that one.
I'm telling you, it was a hard one to pronounce, but we got there at the end of the day. I mean, I'm here with Dom. This is the first episode of our show together, the Arsenal Clinic. See, people, Dom is a very clinical guy, mostly with the starts and with tactical approaches and framework with which teams play, mostly Arsenal. So, it's very, very nice to just have that kind of segment and on my channel where someone can come in and break things tactically for us down here at the channel, and that's why we respect Dom. And see, people, yeah, Drew Gunner just said, great first show, guys. Happy New Year again. I look forward to more shows in 2026. Exactly. Dom, we've come to the end of the show. Great, great, great first episode between us, and we hope it keeps continuing that way until we kind of like break down how we're going to really do it. Yeah, but it is what it is. Dom, is there any wishes for 2026 that you would like to, kind of like just tell those people out here, like, what do you want to see, and it could be Arsenal, could be anything, what do you want to put out there, bro?
I mean, really, really, very simply, I want Arsenal to get out the Brasso and clean and have some silverware to clean. Right, I think that's what we all want. From
That's all we all want, man.
On a personal perspective, I'd like I'd like good health throughout 2026. That would be lovely. If you got that, then you can make do with everything else, right? But no, I mean, from an Arsenal perspective, silverware, obviously, but I do genuinely think it is coming. How about you, though, Tony? What are your thoughts and wishes for the upcoming year?
See, Dom, yeah, I want at the end of May, I want to see that Arsenal, are crowned champions of England once again. I mean, that's a title that has eluded us for nearly 22 years of my life. I mean, people imagine, yeah, I'm an older guy. I should be around your age, yeah. I might look younger, but I might be around your age, yeah. And you can just imagine, yeah, waiting for about 22 years just to celebrate.
It's over half my lifetime. I'm 41.
Bro, it's over. Bro, exactly, bro. So, I need a silverware, bro. I'm not just a normal silverware.
70 last time we won it,
Exactly, man. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking old. It's just that the gray hairs hasn't started coming out yet. So, it's just what it is. Arsenal needs to win this title. We need to win the big one. And again, people, I'm not discriminating against titles. I'm all up for the EFL Cup, people. Yeah, right now, yeah, I'm an equal opportunity taker right now. Yeah, equal opportunity taker. I'll take the EFL Cup.
Likewise. I mean, you want one of the big ones. I want one of the big ones, but I think the EFL Cup is a real big opportunity for us to go and win some silverware.
Definitely.
And get that, that winning feeling back. These players haven't won trophies together, and very few of them have won trophies at all. And you hear a lot of old pros, and I know Gary Neville's not always the most popular, but you hear a lot of them talk about how winning that first one is your hardest one.
Exactly.
So I do genuinely think that there is that element there of win the League Cup, and I could see us winning, at least one more this season. Because I think it's that important and that difficult to win that first one. So I'm bang up for the League Cup, but obviously I think you really judge it by the big trophies, and that would be the Champions League.
Big trophies, innit? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you judge by the big trophies. I mean, I like that, bro. I mean, big trophies, bro. I mean, people, Arsenal have to win the big one this year, but I'll still make do of that EFL Cup. And again, when you win the EFL Cup, it has a way of sporing you into the next one. It has a way of building your confidence, the confidence boost. So. And mind you, Pep Guardiola has always talked about this thing too. He has always talked about, that's why he's always keen on winning the EFL Cup every season. He has made that known in his interviews that, hey, you know what, yeah, the EFL Cup is a starter pack for me. Yeah, it's a starter pack. I use it as something to build the confidence of the players to spur them on to go win the bigger ones in the season.
I think so. I think particularly since you started to have a squad that can compete on multiple fronts. But my wife likes that film Sliding Doors, and I look back to that Birmingham. I look back to that.
That's
Birmingham
a good movie, man. That's a good one.
I'm not sure I've ever seen it all the way through. I know she misses a tube train, but other than that, and then she catches her boyfriend cheating or something. It's about all I know about it. But
go out and watch it, man. Go out and watch it. It's a good one.
I've got better things to do, to be honest. But I look back to that Birmingham League Cup defeat, all those years ago, almost as a sliding doors moment, and think, what might have happened under an Arsene Wenger team had it gone and won that League Cup that season, where we lost to Birmingham in that, in all seriousness, we'll
Yeah,
never know. But I always left wondering about that one. But I was
yeah.
10 last time we won a League Cup, I think.
Oh my God, that's a long time ago, man, bro.
92, 93,
I
wasn't it?
mean,
I mean,
I mean, Dom, I don't want to be angry and all, yeah, because this PTSD, yeah, it runs deep, and I don't want to reignite it again, yeah, because when I talk about things like that and how long Arsenal have not, I've gone on without winning the big one, it hurts me real bad, yeah, it hurts me
yeah,
real bad. So, and again, I don't want anything negative right now in my mind going into the new year, mostly after we've done what we did to Aston Villa yesterday. So I'll just run with this into the new year, and when it's time to bring that up, then I'll bring it up.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be positive about right now. Let's be
Yeah.
honest about it. We're talking, we're almost nitpicking in many ways about where the improvement can be. I put something out earlier today, 3 sort of takeaways on, but it was very much in the spirit of how does the side get better rather than there's a serious significant problem here.
Hmm.
That's kind of what you want. You know, to be rather than
To
there's something
be.
fundamentally at odds here. It's like you know go back 2 years, Saliba gets injured, our world falls apart.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just before we go, slightly before we go, Bournemouth, yeah. What do you think? What's your prediction for that game? And again, I knew you said earlier. I knew you said earlier that Declan Rice could get a much deserved rest against Bournemouth, and again, that set the alarm bells to me, thinking that you really think that Bournemouth is in a very, very vulnerable position. Maybe, probably because they've not been able to string out wins in a couple of matches. I hear you, but again, they still have dangerous players who steps up, who
Yeah,
like to
100%.
step up against Arsenal. They still have Cliver down there. They still, I'm not really sure if Semenya is going to be playing, but definitely he might be on the block to play against us. They still have dangerous players in that team, and I don't know. I'm not,
Well, they just got to draw
it's
against
easy to say
Chelsea.
they've not won games. I get that, but they're still a dangerous team to play, mostly at the Vitality Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their recent form, right? They just drew against Chelsea. They had 4 wins and 2 losses in the last 6. That says to me
Mm,
Arsenal can go there and beat them. But as you
mm,
say, is this Semenya's last game? They still have dangerous players. Arsenal can't go there and make 6, 7, 8 changes and expect to win that game. Just to be clear, I
mm,
think
mm.
Declan Rice. The reason I say you don't risk it, if that knee still isn't right, then you don't risk him there. But Arsenal, I think, can make 2 or 3 changes from this side that won yesterday and go there and win. They can't make 6 or 7 changes, but I think we're in a point now where you can make 2, 3 changes a game
Yeah,
and still get them. And this is one of those ones where I think you can do it. If we're going straight into Liverpool, which I think is next up after Bournemouth, then you
yeah,
probably go unchanged from this side unless Declan Rice is fit.
definitely.
Obviously, Declan Rice
Yeah,
is fit; he comes back in. But you know what I'm saying. But I think you
yeah,
can make 2 or 3. And I
yeah.
would be probably looking at giving one of Timber or Rice a rest. I would be looking at probably giving Trossard a bit of a breather, and maybe one other change somewhere. That's the kind of thing I'd
Mm.
be looking at,
Be looking at.
rather than wholesale changes. Because Bournemouth, if you underestimate them, Bournemouth can beat you, but they're not on a good
They
run at the
can beat
moment.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
anyone can
yeah,
beat you.
yeah.
I mean, Wolves got a draw against Manchester United last night, who I know aren't amazing, but they're no mugs. We were terrible against Wolves, by the way, but they nearly
Yeah.
got something against us. You can't underestimate any Premier League side. You really can't, because it
You
comes
really
back to
can't. But again, yeah, see, yeah, you said that we were underwhelming against Wolves. Yeah, I mean, in the general overview of that, yeah, I can understand that. But again, you look at Manchester United, yeah, play in a home game at Old Trafford with all the legends sitting down there at Old Trafford, trying to enjoy a little post-Christmas apocalyptic scenario down there, and then they serve up a draw against Wolves 1-1. So now, when you're looking at that kind of game, yeah, and you sit back and say, hey, Arsenal beat Wolves 1-0, and Man United is struggling to actually beat Wolves, and they're getting a draw. at Old Trafford 1-1. I mean, what comes to mind is that maybe Wolves are actually fighting in a relegation battle, and they're not the kind of mugs that we're all calling them right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, they've got nothing to lose either, have they? I mean, I thought Manchester United were terrible by all accounts yesterday,
Mm,
but but it goes to show. I said after the Wolves game, I thought our attitude was wrong in that game. We went out there like it was going to be easy, and it just shows you that
mm,
you can't do that against anybody. And
yeah,
that for me was the big lesson from that game. We were lucky in that game, whereas against Everton, I actually thought we were banging control. I was never worried at any moment against Everton. Like literally at no moment was I worried against Everton, but which was the following game. But you know, you can't underestimate, and that's why I hear people sort of talking about, well, we shouldn't have played Rice against Brighton at right back. We should have played Salmon or Nichols. Well, I don't think they're quite ready for that starting role against sides of the quality of Palace or Brighton. Or
yeah.
yeah, it's a big. Imagine you do that, and they're responsible for the goal. He gets absolutely lambasted. From the manager's perspective, I fully understand why he didn't. And these guys are still very young, inexperienced players. By the way, Steve, very quickly, I absolutely hope your Cowboys tonk my Giants at the weekend after we messed up in the NFL. All we had to do was lose to the Raiders, but no, we go and win a meaningless game. So
No.
normally, I would love to see my Giants beat the Cowboys, but I'm all on the Cowboys on the weekend. An odd one where you want your side to lose because it's better for you because of the curious way the NFL
Mm,
works. But I do think 2 or 3 changes. I've heard some people say 6 or 7 and go and still expect to beat Bournemouth 4-5-0. The Premier League's too tough for that.
yeah, exactly. And of
But
course, Steve
you
Dallas
can make that error
Cowboys.
change.
Yeah, definitely, Dom. And of course, Steve Dallas Cowboy says here that the last major trophy Arsenal won was the Premier League 2003-04. I was born in 20. Okay, in 2002. Wow, let that sink in. Wow, man. Sorry, mate.
So
Sorry,
basically,
mate.
doesn't have any memory of us winning any
Sorry,
major
mate.
trophies.
You never saw the title. Sorry, mate. And then Steve also says, yeah, Edwards said here, he says, Edwards are doing great job with Wolves. I can see him save Wolves from championship, but he can do something. He can't do something against big clubs, of course. I completely agree with you. Leave me alone. I can't believe Fernando. Oh,
Mendoza,
really?
yeah.
Okay, going to Las Vegas. Yeah, exactly. And of course, you've not given me your final prediction for that game against Bournemouth,
No, I
bro.
didn't, did I? I
Don't run
think it'll
away from that, bro. Put your neck on the
uh,
line.
I'll go 3-1. I'll go 3-1. How about you? What do you
Oh,
reckon?
3-1.
Yeah. How about
3-1.
you?
Okay. With us brimming with confidence, the way we played against Aston Villa, uh, I think 2-1. I think 2-1.
I wouldn't be
I
shocked if
think
my
2-1.
preview says 2-1 because I forget what I said today.
I think 2-1. I think 2-1 is more decent. We're going away from home. It's an away game. Declan Rice is in there. Yeah, I know. Bournemouth is this kind of team that steps up against Arsenal in every game they play against us. They always step up, even in the ones we don't really, the ones we don't really flop out there. Maybe, just maybe we win it. Maybe 2-1 or 1-0. It has always been a struggle playing against Bournemouth these days. They've derailed part of our title running a season ago. You remember where Evan Nielsen actually ruined our joys. At the time when we played against Bournemouth, where they kind of drew against us last season in the Vitality Stadium. Uh, I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but all I'm just saying is that we have to be very, very careful of this Bournemouth. It usually is the one that we usually, you know, take or undervalue, uh, take as less of a threat that always come back to bite us. I'm not really even really scared about the Man Cities, the Chelseas. I'm more scared about going on a cold night down to St James Park. Although we've already gone to St James
We
Park
have, yeah.
anyway, but I'm more wary about those cold, long nights going away from home to Burnley. I don't know if we've been to Toughmore already. I'm more scared about all these places and to all these mid-table teams Everton when they come to play against us in the second leg. Teams like Fulham when they do come back and bless us, at home. These are games are more inclined and more vulnerable to believing that Arsenal might go there and pull off some draws. Mind you, last season we pulled off 14 draws, with derailed our season. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I think that
so
was artificially high because we kind of gave up on some games because we prioritised the Champions League, made big changes. Brentford and Everton are two that spring to mind. We've been to Turf Moor this
mm,
season, but you're right. This season, actually, we've actually handled these really quite well. But at some point, we will drop points against a side like that because it's the Premier League. It does happen.
yeah, it's the Premier League, right?
But you will
It's
always,
inevitable. It's
yeah,
inevitable.
for everyone. For everyone. Manchester City will go,
Yeah,
I spoke about Wolves earlier. They couldn't beat Wolves to save their lives in the last few years. I mean, last season they did, and this season they have. But you know what I mean. But a couple of years ago they couldn't beat Wolves. It was just the team they couldn't beat. So I
yeah,
think that inevitable. But hopefully it won't be this weekend. I think what gives me a bit more confidence is that Arsenal have been building towards scoring more goals in the last few weeks. It's been coming, and Bournemouth defensively are a bit suspect. As I said, understandably earlier, they've lost 4 out their last season's back 5. That's a heck of a rebuilding job. Especially when you're
yeah,
Bournemouth. It's not like you can go out and go, oh no, we've lost our centre half. Who are we going to sign? Is that Champions League winner? Let's drop 50, 60, 70 million on him. They haven't got that to do it. They're losing
yeah,
Hoyson
exactly,
for whatever it was, 35 mil. They probably haven't got
mm,
35 mil to reinvest in that position. They're
exactly
having to
in
sign
that
someone for
position.
20,
Yeah,
because they don't,
yeah,
they have to
exactly.
reinvest the money in other things. It's, because they're
And
not,
other things,
they're not
yeah.
big enough. And,
It, yeah. I mean, they don't have that big club mentality, yeah. But again, I also really believe that they've sold most of the talented players over the years. And when you're selling this kind of talent, yeah, you have to also, you have to restock the shop. Yeah, that's how you do. That's how to build a sustainable business. Brighton used to be that kind of team that used to have all this kind of like stars born in that team. Yeah, when they bring them, they just accelerate in value and they sell for big money and they reinvest it in the football club. But right now they've sold, and sold all their talents, and now it's just remaining like maybe like two now with Baleba out there, might believe in next season, and Mitoma, who might believe in too. Apart from that, it's all drained out. Same thing with Nottingham Forest. You get to a position, you're bringing in players, and you're selling them off without a kind of like restructuring and having a very good recruitment to actually bring players in that would actually replace the ones that you've sold. And that's why these clubs will start fighting relegation. Brighton isn't doing so well. Nottingham Forest isn't really doing so well. That's why they're languishing in the bottom half of the league. I'm not saying that is what is going to happen to Bournemouth, but if they keep selling the way they're selling, maybe that's where they're heading to.
Well, I would disagree with one part of that, which is I don't think it's a mentality thing. I think it's just where they are in the pecking order, right? It's their financial
Mm,
ability. You look at the Premier League, with the exception of Leicester, 3 things are true every single time. Biggest, you're in the top 5 for squad value, you're in the top 5 for wages, and you're in the bottom 5 or 6 for injuries across the course of the season every single time. And Bournemouth don't check any of those boxes. And the reality is, you get a player like Hoyson or Kirkes, and inevitably, or Semenyo, they're excellent players, and they will get swallowed up by sides that can offer them more money, can offer them more opportunities to go and win things or play on bigger stages than Bournemouth can offer them. Bournemouth have what, 15,000 seat capacity stadium, 20,000 maybe.
mm.
You can't. It's not sustainable. So therefore, yeah, they
It's not
have to sell.
sustainable.
They have to
Mm,
sell to balance the books, and that's the reality for them. And therefore, they will never
yeah.
be that top side unless they get a sugar daddy. Chelsea were that side until Roman Abramovich came in. Manchester City were that side on steroids
Mm,
before their current owners. And the new rules. Well, I'm in favour in many ways because I think football should be sustainable. Uh, I
yeah.
admire I admire Arsenal in many ways for their fiscal prudence. As a fan, you're like, I don't care, just go and win. But also, I like the fact they're doing it in the right way. And Bournemouth and Brighton are examples of that. But the rules also, so it protects teams from going bankrupt in theory. It makes it harder for them to go bankrupt anyway, but it also prevents them from going and splashing out to try and go to the next level. And it's kind of catch-22, isn't it, for them? But I don't think it's a mentality thing. I think it's just a reality thing. I think very often in football, we get confused between reality and excuses. So we're going to see this January. So then you go to Manchester City, right? They can afford him because they've made big sales. They have brought in something like 250 million in the last 3 windows in sales. I'm doing this from memory. Arsenal, something like 120 million. Those numbers aren't quite right because I haven't got them in front of me. That's a big old gap because essentially that 120 million is really 360 million because it's over 3 years because of the way the finances get spread. You get all your money for sales into a window, but your outgoings get spread over. So that's 360 million. City can spend more than Arsenal just on player sales.
Just on players. Yeah, exactly.
It's roughly that. Arsenal, I don't think have any money to spend this January to comply with the UEFA rules. They've got more wiggle room domestically, but not UEFA rules. And I don't expect to see big things from Arsenal without an outgoing season. But an outgoing requires someone else to want your player, be able to afford your player. It's not that easy. It really isn't. And we will see. Arsenal.
Wait. So you don't wait, Dom. I need to hold you responsible in some certain things you say. So you don't think that Arsenal is going to go into the general transfer window and recruit? Is that what you're saying in clear terms?
Yeah, so I don't think we will for several reasons. One, I think the squad is quite well stacked in terms of numbers, so you need to create room by someone outgoing. Secondly, financially, and I said this last year, I don't think the money's there for. I think we're even tighter this year than we were last year. Last year, I reckon we had about 50 million to spend. And Ornstein actually came out and said the reason we bid 45 million for Watkins was because we knew it would be rejected and we needed to go back with a better offer. But we were limited up to around the 50 million pound mark because that's all the money we had. So I think we're really tight on the finances. And thirdly, Arteta, and I agree with him here, will only want players in if he thinks they actually can improve the squad and offer him something he wants. And getting that in January is incredibly difficult to do. So I think for all of those reasons, Arsenal won't do it. But the point I was going to make here is you will hear Arsenal, that big club mentality. Look, see, City have gone out and bought. The City can go out and buy because they've got some financial wiggle room. Arsenal went all in on the summer. We spent big money in the summer, massive money in the summer.
Massive money.
The criticism is we didn't get anyone out for big money. If we had, that might have given us some wiggle room in January, but we didn't, and there isn't. So it's not an excuse, it is reality. And sometimes those two things get confused in people's minds, and it's just an excuse. It's not an excuse, it's just reality. That is reality. I could be wrong. It's not like the NFL and American sports where you can see the finances very clearly. You know exactly what they can and can't do.
You know exactly, yeah.
It's not public, but I can have a damn good guess looking at the numbers on the incomes, the outcomes, revenue generated. You can know roughly where you're going to be, and I just don't think Arsenal have the wiggle room, and that's reality. It's not an excuse. I'd love Arsenal to go and add another central midfielder. I'd love them to go out and go, do you know what? We're going to go out and get Rodrigo, and he's going to be our starting left winger. But I'm setting the target up to fail, and I'm setting my own expectations beyond what can actually be reached because of reality versus what we'd all love, right? And the reality is, I don't think Arsenal. I'd love to be wrong, and Arsenal do go and go, hey, we've got Rodrigo because we've got 80 million.
Oregon Good is just saying we should go bring in Quinton Timber and Rodrigo. People, I would be with Oregon Gunner tomorrow. People, Oregon Gunner. He will be on the stage tomorrow, so we can have a talk about what happened today.
I agree with him.
What happened yesterday. Yeah.
I'd love to see Rodrigo. Quinton Timber, though, could be an option because he's 6 months left on his contract. So therefore, you're probably not looking at much. Maybe Arsenal do have 15 million. I don't know exactly what they've got. Maybe that is affordable, but that's a level of transfer that or alone, unless someone big goes out, is the level of what we can afford. Quinton Timber, I don't know, he's obviously not as good as his brother, but he's still a Dutch international. It is probably the level that you can go out and get in this window. And I think he would probably be available as well. But, you're not going to see Rodrigo. And Oregon Gunner, I don't think he's expecting Rodrigo, to be clear. But I think there has to be that understanding love it in the summer. That's more realistic. Semenyo, if Semenyo was around in the summer, I think Arsenal would have been all in. They, clearly admire the player. but he wants to go in January, and City have triggered the clause in January, and Arsenal can't match it. If they could, I think they would. They can't.
I mean, people, yeah. I mean, this is one of the most. This is the scary line, yeah, because at the end of the day, you do. I know. See, we have a stacked team right now, yeah, but we just have to find a way to get one or two quality players in. I'm not saying, yeah, go all out. I'm just saying we need maybe one or two, maybe on loan, yeah. I mean, it won't be the bad. I mean, it won't be a bad effort, yeah, to go to Real Madrid and say, you know what, yeah, Madrid, let's go on a deal here, yeah. Give us Rodrigo on a loan move, and then next year we'll complete the money, or in next transfer window we'll complete the money, something like that.
That may be an option, but I think if Arsenal are doing that, I mean, Rodrigo, you've got to factor in his wages as well, which will be significant. But I think if I'm doing that, I'm probably looking more at Quentin Timber in terms of positional. I think central midfield is the area where we have the biggest drop off. Is he that much better than what we've got? I'm not sure. And I think the concern I would have there would be, you've heard about Arsenal midfielders before, Partey, Rice, Moreno, all talk about how hard it is to understand the system. Maybe that's a bit of a problem. But I do think that's what we're looking at is that sort of level of deal. But, Rodrigo, if I'm not going to complain at all if we can do him on loan and we go, do you know what? Let's throw one more attacking option. I don't think that likely without an outgoing. But maybe when Yeri goes out on loan and Rodrigo comes in,
Yeah, it could be. Someone please get Arsenal Dominations channel, the link. One of my moderators out here, get Arsenal Dominations link and post it up in the charts, please. Yeah. So even if after we finish the show, any other person who sees it can go subscribe to Arsenal Domination, of which that's the channel that belongs to my friend Dominic. People, please. Oregon Gunner gets the channel. I mean, see, people, yeah. Oregon Gunner is the sugar daddy of the. I mean, it's the sugar daddy, yeah. I mean, when people claim, yeah, that they have Abramovich, yeah, the former Chelsea owner. He's my Abramovich, people. Yeah? This is my own Abramovich, people, yeah. And it gets the channel new 5 memberships. People, go grab your memberships, innit? Big up to Oregon Gunner. However, the thing there is, I also work with the sugar daddy of the of the channel. So actually, he will be down here talking to me about what happened yesterday, people. If you thought that this show with Dom was great, yeah, people, just wait until next week when me and Dom come back, and then there are more challenging matches. And then maybe you might just see a very, very big rancor between me and my brother here, Dom. But this is a great, great, great first episode. Don't you think so, Dom?
I've just messaged my wife to say we're just finishing up, and basically I want a cup of tea. But I just said it's been a lot. I literally just messaged her saying it's been a lot of fun. So I've really enjoyed this. Hopefully, others have too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. People, Oregon Gunner has actually posted Arsenal Domination. People, if you like me, please go and subscribe to my friend Dom. He's now family down here. We'll be having this show weekly, or maybe after every 2 weeks or so. Anyhow, we'll do it, no problem. But we'll be giving you content either way. So big up to everyone. Subscribe to Arsenal Domination, people. You have to go do that. In fact, go do that right now. Yeah, people. Whenever you see this, go to his channel, go support him. He does real good content, and I'll just allow him to speak for himself. Arsenal Domination, please talk to the people, man.
Well, Tony, I've really enjoyed this. It's been really good fun. I suspect it will be there'll be more controversial shows to come in the future. But,
yeah, definitely.
But all is well in the world after that win yesterday. But no, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you ever so much for suggesting and having me on. It's been amazing, and thanks for putting the chat and channel name and stuff in the comments. I've been going just over a year now, 13 months, I think. So I'm still quite new, but I put out a short nearly every day. In fact, there is one scheduled for tomorrow as well. So can't remember what it's on because I did it on Christmas Eve.
Exactly.
I think it's on the January transfer window actually. But tomorrow is massively.
Tomorrow, yeah, exactly. The market. I mean, it opens, people, tomorrow. So Arsenal, I mean, go do your thing, yeah. I mean, loan moves, go do your thing. One Mary might be going out on loan to Bournemouth, so it is what it is. Let's see what happens, yeah. And Oregon
That
Gunner
feels like
says,
a good
no
move for
worries,
him.
mate. Subbed already. Yes, that's one sub. Oregon Gunner have subbed to Arsenal domination. People, go sub to Arsenal domination, yeah, people, yeah. Before we're working together, and we will be doing some part of the shows down there. So it's very, very paramount. You go down there and subscribe. And big up to Red RD. Happy New Year to Rory. Rory's a big friend. Me and Dom met through Red RD, people. Thanks for helping me. I mean, there's some people that lead you to your destiny. Rory, thanks for leading me to my future. How about that?
Yeah.
Big up to you, Rory. Big up to you, Rory.
Thanks, Red Road. He's gonna kill me for that.
Yeah, I know. See,
I can't remember
people.
who it was.
I mean, Rory has his in joke with Dominic where they talk about his roses and all this,
No,
all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, people. I'll just stay off the business. How about that?
I think
Rory says pause. Rory says pause.
I can't remember who it was now, but someone thought that was the name of his channel was Red Road, and I've called him Red Road ever since.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Oregon Guinea says Maria knows how to use the striker properly. And people, another person you should subscribe to is Donversations TV. I used to work with him formerly at Sarkazin TV. He's a great guy, people. Great guy. He just opened up his new channel. People go and support. And he makes great content too, people, yeah. It's a tough guy, built like a linebacker. But people, yeah, see, yeah. He's a great personality. I like it. I like the guy. He's a great guy. Yeah. He's built like an American rugby footballer, bro. Yeah, he's a very credible guy. I like the guy. So people, go subscribe to Donversations.
We need a linebacker at the New York Giants. Get him to suit up. We need him on Sunday.
Exactly, bro. So yeah, big up to Donversations. Thank you, says big up Tony, and of course Oregon Gunner says Don C. Happy New Year. I want to wish everyone down here a happy New Year, people. Yeah. Please tread carefully. We're just a couple of hours to the new year. Tread carefully. Dom, you too, please, bro. Stay indoors, tread carefully, drink the coffee, drink the tea. Actually, we drink tea in the UK anyway, but out here in Finland, I've changed it right now. So I'm mostly a coffee drinker right now. So I've actually repented from a cereal tea drinker into a coffee pooper. So how about that?
I'm not adverse to a cup of coffee. As Rory will tell you, I need to wake up and smell the coffee.
Wake up and smell the coffee, people. So I'm big up to the Waffle Don. A long time working with him, my brother on this thing. And Waffle Don has a great channel. Subscribe to Waffle Don TV. That's my guy. That's my G. And Donversations is also down here. It says, if the money is right, I'm there. Exactly, bro. Donversations, Oregon Gunner. From me and Dom, it's a happy new year, and catch you on the next episode next week in our new show together, the Arsenal Clinic with Claude N Dom. From me and Dom, we are out, people. We are out. Peace.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.